Hello guys, Omni here. Time to talk about the final movie in Living Sentient Toy Week. I finally saw Toy Story 4, and if you've been following the channel for a little while or seen my previous reactions to the trailers leading up to this movie's release, you probably know that I didn't think that this movie needed to exist, nor did I think the trailers really kind of convinced me that they needed to continue this franchise. I initially, like a lot of people, thought it was a complete sin to run the risk of going back to the franchise, especially after what a perfect thematic and just bookend to what we had from the beginning with the third film, to run the risk of revisiting this and kind of leaving the series off on a low note after such a high. You always kind of run the risk of doing that when you have a time gap between releases, or when a series or franchise has a definitive close to their arc or their saga, their situation, whatever you want to call it, and then you decide, you know what, we can make one more. And as if you saw my previous reactions, you know that I was kind of on the fence about seeing this, and that I was going to wait and see what the general reactions were to it. And I was really surprised how I have not heard anyone really come down on it. And after seeing it today, I definitely know why. This was a really enjoyable film, and after watching it, it really does feel needed, and just the overall sense of the characters we've been following for a long time, specifically Woody in this film. This comes to a close where we are now following Bonnie, the child that Andy had left them with at the end of Toy Story 3, and you know how it's a different kid. All kids are different, and Woody still kind of get over Andy, and it comes to a point where it's more about life. There's a lot of deep themes in this movie. What your purpose is, why we're here, what is a toy, what makes you alive, what makes you different from any other thing. Is it the value somebody puts in you? Is it the value you put in a thing? Much like with Bonnie and how she creates Forky, and that becomes her new favorite thing. And then you have characters like Bo Peep, who we get kind of the explanation of what happened to her between films and why she was absent from 3. And it really kind of grows into, you know, she's gone X amount of years without a kid, kind of roaming around as a lost toy and enjoying life and taking in all this adventure. And you see her kind of like baiting Woody with this. It was like, because he's still hung up on Andy, even though we know Woody was made back in the 50s, and it's fair to assume he's had more kids than just Andy. But Andy had such a huge influence on who Woody was. What happens when the thing that you define your life around goes away? And that's a real true existential issue that people deal with in real life. And seeing how they tackle that, and how you can kind of come to terms with what you've done, how you've influenced people or the people around you, how, you know, you can always give so much of yourself to the point where you may break until you can no longer bend. And at what point do you have to kind of take a moment to think and reward yourself? And this movie gets really emotional. It's funny. It hits all of the beats that any of the Toy Stories have in the past, and it really sells it and lands on almost every level to me, that I am just completely baffled. Like, there was a couple of times throughout this film that I was definitely on the edge of tears, because it was just so touching, or just sad in general. Even that there's the antagonist of the film has a very real relatability to why they're doing what they're doing, and it's quite tragic. There's a lot of closure for a lot of different characters, and I gotta say, this is the most beautiful Toy Story film easily. We've talked about how animation has just really skyrocketed in the past couple of years, and this really elevates all of this, even to the point where there's a lot of scenes, and I commented this on the recent Frozen trailer when I was reacting to it. There's a lot of scenes in this movie that look photoreal. when it's clearly there's a style to Pixar films, there's a style to the Toy Story world, there's a style to the toys themselves, the designs and the everything, but the environments are breathtakingly beautiful. Like I said, there's some like set pieces and scenery, just landscapes that just, if I didn't know I was watching a Pixar movie, I would think I was watching a live action film. It's ridiculous the amount of detail they go in this, and they even like go as far as to make these toys still have their style that we've been used to, but feel and look even more lifelike. And that just everything about this movie is so polished and so bigger than this world as it's ever been presented to us, and I love it. There's a lot of just, I can't really go into a whole lot of it without spoiling it with you. This movie's only been out for a week. I know it probably a lot of people know how this plays out. There's a lot of fun things in this. Key and Peele, I think at some points, their characters, the rabbit and the duck, I think, they're like a carnival pairing of stuffed animals. There's some times where they get a little over the top, and I think they're trying a little too hard to focus on these new characters. There's a couple of times where I'm just kind of like, all right, we get the joke. Let's move on. And then you have Duke Kaboom, played by Keanu Reeves, and it is a delight. I loved every moment with that character, and the things they did with before I move on, there's a Matrix quote that's thrown in there. I think it actually it's in the mid credits. There's a couple of neat little nuggets at the end during the credits and the first half of them. And there's a couple of there's a little definite hint to one of Keanu Reeves's most famous catchphrases, if you could really even call it that, from the Matrix, and it just made me giggle. And what they did with Bo Peep really just like blew my mind with how well they were able to develop that character, and not only just make her a strong female presence, but she like really breathes so much life into this this film by what she's been going through, her like realization of what it means to be a toy, or what it could mean to be a toy without a child, or how do you live life when you don't have something specific to devote it to. You know, a lot of people worry about like moving on or moving forward towards a goal, and what happens when you meet that goal? Where do you go from there? And it's just like letting go of all of that. There's so many life themes in this that Pixar is just fantastic about executing. All of their movies have some kind of message that you can really incorporate into life, and I really love this movie. I liked it a lot. It is easily the best film I saw this week, considering I've only seen Child's Play, Annabelle Comes Home, and now Toy Story 4. I'm glad that I watched this last. It's the cherry on top to this week of living toys, and it was a blast, and I loved it. I recommend it. If you haven't seen it, or if you've still been on the fence for checking it out, go see it. This movie is, ooh, A+. If I gotta give it a number, 9.5. I don't know if I can give this a 10. I don't know. I still feel like the way it ends and just it's man. 9.5. 9.97. So close to a 10. I feel like there's, like I said, I think if like they scaled back on Key and Peele's characters, if they were a little more reserved with Forky towards the beginning, it would have been a little bit of a tighter film. I'm just like trying to like justify not giving this movie a 10, and I don't know why. But yeah, I'm gonna go with like a really, really, really high 9, almost 9 to 10, 9. Anyway, that's all I've got for this. I can't really talk about it too much more without going into any spoilers. So I want to know what you guys think. What did you think about this movie when you saw it? Have you seen it? Why haven't you seen it? Go see it. Let me know down in the comments down below what you thought, so we can continue this conversation after the video. And if you want to support the channel, if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, let me know in the comments what you didn't like, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.